thank you very much for watching or listening today. Today I have a very special guest on. We've been planning this interview for a little while, so it's great to finally make it happen. Today's guest, he has a very inspirational story. Got a massive fight coming up in only about 2 weeks at the time of this interview, at the time that this was filmed. So we'll be talking about that. Turned professional at a very late age, started training at a very late age as well. Competes in both MMAs, competing in both amateur and professional, and bare knuckle boxing as well. So today we're going to be talking about this man's life, his career, and just everything that he's doing right now. There's some really, really exciting stuff going on. If you haven't guessed it already, Rob Cunningham, today's guest on Presenting Champions. So, Champ, I just want to say a big thank you for coming on, by the way, just to get that in there. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me on, Liam. Appreciate it.
No worries at all, mate. No worries. So, like we were saying just now, before we started recording, you were telling me it's only a couple of weeks away now from a massive fight opportunity. Now, some people will know about this, some of the people that follow you. But anyone that doesn't know about the situation of this massive opportunity that's right in front of you, fighting abroad and everything, can you share with us a little bit about the fight that you've got coming up in only a couple of weeks, and anything that you'd like to share with the fans about it really would be fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm due to fight with EFC, who are a huge promotion based in Africa. They base themselves, I think it's modelled quite a lot around the way the UFC run the show. They seem to do a lot of the same sort of stuff with the model of the show. So I signed a contract with them. It must have been last June now. Obviously, with all the restrictions in place and stuff, I couldn't get out there to fight. It was just a nightmare. South Africa was on the red list for travel for ages, and then obviously the vaccine rollout was happening, and no one knew what was going to happen basically. So I've been in contact with Graham Cartmel every month really last year, just chatting and catching up and seeing what the plan was. So they've given me, I believe, if I remember rightly, a 6-fight contract, which is amazing. I signed with them just after winning my pro debut last May. So yeah, my first fight is scheduled on EFC 92, 5th of March. I'm fighting a guy called Van Dam Ngui. He's a very experienced fighter. I think he's had 8 professional fights. I think he's 4-4, if I remember rightly. I'm 1-0, so it's a good test from the first one. He's a big hitter. He stopped his last opponent in round 1, so it's going to be a hard test, but something I'm very much looking forward to. Getting out there and fighting on one of the biggest promotions in the world and put myself out there.
Incredible. Well, it's an amazing opportunity. Like I said before, especially considering you've just turned pro. I think that I speak for fight fans everywhere when we're all very happy for you in that situation, because it's an amazing opportunity. Now, when we get into sort of fight predictions and that sort of stuff, I don't know how you feel about giving a prediction for how you think the fight's going to go, but it's definitely something the fans always love to hear. So there's no pressure with this one, anything you'd like to say about it. But do you have a prediction, or are you just sort of happy for the opportunity and that's sort of the end of it?
I know what I've been. I mean, the best answer I can give to that without giving too much away, and everyone's going to back themselves going into these fights. I haven't fought now for coming up 12 months, so I had a couple of fights fall through last year, because of COVID. I was meant to go out to Serbia and fight, but that fell through with the COVID situation and date changes, and then there was a couple of other fights that couldn't happen for various reasons. But I've spent some time now just training hard since the last one in May. I've trained in a couple of different gyms around my area. I'm now settled in a gym called Trident Mixed Martial Arts full time, which I've thrived in. Great coaches there, great team. Loving the training, what I'm doing at the moment. So fight prediction. I'm just looking at putting on a solid performance, getting a win. That first win with the FC in that heavyweight division will open doors. It's a very thin division. I'm not even sure if the belt's been vacated, because the champion, Thimbani Mbella, he put something up about leaving the company. So I don't even know if they've got a heavyweight champion at the moment, but I believe they've only got around 5 or 6 active heavyweights as well. So first things first is beat Van Damme. He's got a cool name, Manny. But beat him and then see what happens. But I plan on stopping him. That's what I'm in there to do, or getting the win via points, or grinding out a decision. But I'm winning this fight. I've got to win this fight. That's thoroughly in my mind.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, like I said before, fight fans everywhere, myself included, we believe you will. And obviously, I know you're known for being quite a sort of heavy-handed individual, but at the same time, there's other skills that will come into this as well. And all I'll say is good luck. And fans everywhere, if you knew about it, great. But if you didn't know about it, keep an eye on what Rob is doing with these upcoming fights, because there's some big stuff going on. This is just the beginning, obviously. Like you said, 6-fight deal. So, and yeah, fighting a guy with one of the coolest names as well. I was thinking that when you said it,
Yeah.
fair play to him.
I had to ask Joe. I had to like double check that was his name, because I was like, what a name. But yeah, he seems like a good guy, and he's a big hitter himself. So I believe my grappling's far superior to his, though. So that might be a factor in the fight, or it might come down to a bit of a stand-up war, which I'm not afraid of. Like I've done the bare knuckles, so I know I've got a solid chin. I'm just looking forward to it, mate. I can't wait. It's just a huge experience on a big stage. I mean, they've had various fighters go to the UFC from EFC, so I'm just trying to take steps to progress myself, and this is the first step in the ladder, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good way to look at it. Well, like I said, champ, honestly, massive good luck for it, and we'll all be cheering for you all over the UK. So, touching on this, I mean, we've looked forward a little bit, and there's a very bright future ahead of you. One of the things I want to touch on as well is like I said at the beginning, is sort of looking back a little bit as well, because there's also quite an inspirational story there. I mean, I think it's inspirational, about how you're making all this happen at the age that you started training, and everything like that. So I want to go back a little bit and just touch on, what inspired you to begin competing. Obviously talk us through how old you were at the time. This is going all the way back to like amateur now. So I'm talking about, when you first started training in the MMA at age 26, I believe you started having amateur fights. And obviously, you're making a big success out of this. So I think for fighters out there, or people who are, wanting to be athletes, you know what I mean? They're thinking, oh, I'm too old for it. Obviously, you show it can be done. So it's a really cool story. So going back to that sort of age, or where it started for you, what was your initial inspiration to compete, in MMA or in anything? Where did that start for you, basically?
I mean, I'd done a little bit of boxing on and off when I was younger, but nothing serious, like just went to a boxing gym a couple of times with my mates and stuff like that. But yeah, I was 26, and there was an MMA gym local to myself, and I'd always followed, like a lot of people, the UFC when it first started, the early days of the UFC. And I'd been saying to my missus for ages, "Oh, I'm going to go down there and have a look." And it was mainly just for fitness at first. But then I sort of got hooked on the training, as you do, and yeah, I just sort of kept going and going, and I just thought I want to give this a go and see if we can get fighting. The issue I had, there wasn't anything like that around me when I was younger. So um, starting at 26, I knew fighting in the amateurs would be very much a learning process for me. It is for everyone, but I was playing catch up because there'd been people training in the sport a lot longer than I had. So as I was fighting, I was hoping to fight against a lot of different styled fighters just to gain cage time, get minutes in rounds. And I knew it was going to be tough for me because I had no background in any sort of discipline. I had no background in jiu-jitsu. I had no background in kickboxing, Muay Thai, nothing like that. And a lot of the guys that go into it do, wrestling, all sorts. So it was a matter of I know they always say the amateurs are for learning, but it really, really was for me. It was. I knew it was going to be tough going. I knew it was going to be just about getting more experience quickly because I was 26. I didn't actually take my first fight until I was 28 as well. So, by all means, if on the grand scheme of things, it's not that old for mixed martial arts. I mean, I'm 32 now, and I've started my pros. So as a heavyweight, I'm still young. Um, I mean, if you look after yourself as a heavyweight, you can fight into your 40s, can't you? So, um, but yeah, so that was sort of the story. I just sort of threw myself in and then decided, right, I'm gonna train for a year or two and then have a go at fighting. My amateur career was quite poor, if you like, but at the same time, the first couple of wins I got um, were easier fights. They were sort of the fights you expect when you first start. And then I started fighting some really good guys. So, I mean, I fought two lads that went on to win regional titles with various promotions like Almighty and FCC. And then I fought another lad that had been training for about 10 years. I think he was quite from an established wrestling gym. So I've never been sort of dropped with a punch. I've been subbed. And that again was against a really good grappling fighter who went on and fought for Bellator. So I feel like I got the experience I needed as an amateur. I was learning as I was going, and it was just about getting cage timing. And then after I made the decision that I wanted to go pro and have a go at it then when I felt I was ready.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, one thing we will say about that is, and genuinely, when I say this, it is quite like a brave thing to do, because I mean, as you say, it's not like a super old age, and yeah, factoring in that you're a heavyweight, definitely, but throwing yourself in the deep end like that is still, I've still got a lot of respect for that because it's just, when it's something that's like totally new to you, it's really inspirational, and it does show other people it can be done, as
Yeah,
well, because there might be people who have that dream, but for whatever reason they've sort of held back on it or they haven't had the opportunity to pursue it. And obviously, you showed them in that good way it can be done, which is very cool. Obviously, another thing here is, and we're probably moving forward a little bit more in time with this now, is the bare knuckle side of things, and we have to give that a mention because you jumped into pretty much the toughest. I mean, they're all tough in different ways, because obviously with MMA you've got everything. You've got knees and elbows and grappling and chokes and all this. But obviously with bare knuckle, it is that bone against bone, and it does have that that tough reputation for obviously good reason. And you jumped in there with that, so we've got to get into the situation. We will talk about your debut with the MMA as well, but because I know that there's a lot of bare knuckle people who follow my stuff as well. I want to give that a little bit of a mention because what was the inspiration? The same type of question, really. I mean, how did that happen? How did that come about in the beginning to
it
compete?
was it was a bit out of the blue, to be honest, mate. So I had watched a couple of fights on and off, a couple of the shows with BKB over a period of about 12 months. I watched a couple of the pay-per-view shows, and I thought, you know what, I quite fancy a go at that. I wasn't quite sure if I really did, or so I messaged their Facebook page and just said, mixed martial arts fighter. I was amateur at the time. I just said, if you're looking for any sort of heavyweight fighters in the future, because I didn't think I'd get an opportunity at that time. I just thought I'll make them aware of me. Maybe when I turn pro in MMA, I'll have more of an opportunity to do something like that in the future, or when I've got a bit more experience, because I've never properly boxed either. So yeah, I just messaged the page, and then I got a message back. I can't remember if it was later that day or the following day or something, asking me to get in touch with Jim Freeman, the promoter. So I was like, all right, okay. So I popped the same message over, and I got a message back off him saying it might be your lucky day. And I was like, oh, right, okay. And at the time, they were putting on a heavyweight prize fighter tournament, which was a cash prize. I can't remember exactly. I think was it £5 or something at the time. I can't remember. But it had myself, obviously. Well, before I was entered into it, there was um, a lad called Andrew Ross, who I'm now pretty good friends with through the fighting. I speak to Andrew quite a lot. There was Geraint Hill again. Me and Geraint knew each other. We'd spoken because Geraint's a pro heavyweight MMA fighter. He's fought some of the top boys in the country. He's very, very good pro MMA fighter. I was aware of Geraint already. And Dan Podmore, who again is sort of a BKB, a bare knuckle vet, well, a fight vet if you like. He's had well over 100 fights. He's got. You spoke to him, you've interviewed him, you know Dan, don't you? So his story's fantastic as well. He went sort of from journeyman to what he is now is unbelievable. So, and then they offered me a place on it, so I jumped at it. Then lockdown happened and sort of changed everything, and so BKB then decided to do a couple of lockdown shows. So I stayed in touch, and then they offered me a British title fight with Dan on my debut. So my first thought was, geez, what a big fight that is for your bare knuckle debut. But I was like, yeah, you know what, why not? Let's have a go. And it was brilliant. I loved it. The whole show was set up fantastically. Jim and Joe, the guys that run the show, were great with me. Me and Dan are good friends now as well. So I was stopped for a cut in the fourth round. My eyebrow was absolutely pissing blood. To be honest, he won every round. If I remember rightly, he was catching me with some shots. I knew I needed to stop him, but I held my own. I still walked him down, and I managed to catch him with a couple of shots and early on. But as the fight progressed, he took control of it, and he went on and won the British title. And then I think he's fought Charlie Milner after me again, another very good pro MMA heavyweight, and he's beat him. Charlie's well established. He's fought in Bellator as well. So it just shows how good Dan is in the bare knuckle scene. And to be fighting someone like that on the bare knuckle debut was great experience. I took another fight with him. I was supposed to fight Geraint Hill, which I was really looking forward to because obviously Geraint's a very experienced pro MMA heavyweight. He's fought some of the top lads in the country. He fought Thomas Denman. He fought the lad that broke his leg fighting Tom Aspinall. I can't remember his name, the French guy.
Yeah, I know you mean.
You know what I mean? Yeah, he's fought him as well. So it was a fight I was really excited about. Unfortunately, Geraint hurt his hand badly in training. I don't know if it was broke or sprained or something. So with about a week or 5 days before, he had to pull out the fight. They replaced him with Carl Hobley, who I didn't know much about at the time. He was sort of waiting for an opportunity. So again, I fought Carl. It went the distance. Carl got the decision in that fight, and now Carl's a world champion. So the two lads I fought are British champion and world champion. So it was a baptism of fire, if you like, for the first two bare knuckle fights. I've thought about going back and having another go because I feel like with a bit more experience I'd do well in bare knuckle, but it's on hold for a little bit while I've got the things with the MMA. The MMA is sort of my background now and what I do. I will go back to bare knuckle. I've told Jim and Joe I'd love another opportunity, and they've asked me a couple of times, but unfortunately the dates just didn't coincide with MMA fights that I've got booked. So, but it's got a conversation that I'll have in the future, definitely.
Yeah. Well, it's an amazing story. I mean, it is incredible. Just again jumping in the deep end and the bravery. I mean, I know I said that before, but it really is something. Obviously, amazing fights. Obviously, I think I speak for fight fans all over when we'd love to see you back in there. But at the same time, the MMA side of things is moving along nicely. So you've got to go with it sometimes. But yeah, jumping into pretty much the toughest fight sport in the world like that, or just let's see how it goes. Is quite a story, man. I love
I
it.
just, you know what? I just fancy to go with it. I've not, like I said, I've never boxed. It's different to boxing though. The range obviously is different without the boxing glove and that bone on bone. It's a different kettle of fish. But it was great. I loved it. It was all the lads that are involved are really good with each other. It's sort of like a good community. Everyone sort of gets along. There's a lot of respect involved because everyone knows how tough it is. But yeah, it was definitely something I enjoyed, and a lot of people thought I was nuts doing it, but yeah, I had to have a go. I love throwing myself in, like I did with the MMA and learning in the amateurs. I just like to get in there and build experience, and it's all part of the bigger picture. I've got goals that I've set myself, and I know I'm going to achieve them. It's just about building up bit by bit. EFC is the first big step in the MMA side of things. So I get a few wins with that promotion. I'm on my way basically. I think so.
I think so, and it's a good mentality to have as well. With sort of a step at a time, sort of way of doing it. And as they say, Rome wasn't built in a day, and all that. You're just taking it a step at a time. It's a good sort of philosophy to have, and you gain experience. So I like that as well. So touching on your MMA debut as well, your successful debut. Again, this is a good fight to touch on, and then one or two more things, and and we'll wrap it up because we've had a good sort of highlight of your career. But I do definitely want to touch on that and sort of not leave that out because obviously it's an important part of your career. Now, with the debut, obviously, I don't have like a really specific question about it of or this round or this thing, but just your experiences of how it felt to win obviously a successful debut. I know we've talked about the heavyweight, but still, at a fairly late age, but and when I'm saying that, by the way, you've got some good years ahead of you. By the way, that's I'm not saying like, but it is still cool.
I'm
It
not
is
on a
still
walking stick yet.
no, no, that's what I mean. 'Cause I don't want it to sound that way, but when I'm saying for a late age, I think it's very cool
Yeah.
that you did that. So I mean it in a good way. That's all I'm saying.
No, no, that's
I
yeah,
want to touch
definitely. Yeah.
on that. The success of it. How it felt. What the reaction was like from your friends and family. Just anything that you'd like to share about the experience really of your debut. That'd be great to touch on that.
Yeah. So I was thinking about it for a while. It sort of after the first bare knuckle fight, I sort of had it in my head that I wanted to turn pro in the MMA. Even though my amateur record wasn't great, I still felt like I'd picked up the experience and learned everything I needed to learn to go pro. So I needed to make that change and take that step for myself. Um, it was something I'd thought about for a long time, and I spoke to my missus about it. I spoke to my friends and people around me that was the next step for me, and I feel it was the right choice at the right time. So yeah, I got offered a fight with Jamie Hay and Ian Butlin, two veterans again of British MMA. Those guys have sort of done it all within British MMA. Ian Butlin's obviously a Cage Warriors vet, and he commentates for M1 Global with Ian Freeman. And Jamie Hayes actually got a fight coming up on Bellator now himself. So they run their own gyms up in Huddersfield, and I think it's Bury, if I remember rightly. So I've known both of them for a long time. They're really good guys. And I got a message off Jamie asking if I wanted to make my pro debut on a behind closed doors show that he was putting on through MMA Uncaged. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Um, it was quite a funny story because me and my coach actually on the way ran out of petrol in the middle of nowhere. So we didn't know where we were going in the first place because it was up in Huddersfield somewhere. I'd never been up that way, but it wasn't in the town itself. It was like a village outside Huddersfield. So when we were driving, the sat nav took us the wrong way by 7 miles, and he didn't have enough fuel in the car. So as we come back round, we broke down, and it looked like I don't know some weird little village that you'd see on a horror film. um,
Yeah.
and it was pissing down with rain, and we just broke down on a hill. So we were trying to stop cars. Um, I ended up going and knocking on doors and houses, and eventually there was like a big farmhouse halfway down the hill. And as I got up to it, there was like two massive dogs in the garden. So I'm knocking on the door, it's pissing down with rain. This bloke comes to the door holding the dog by the collar, and he must have thought, "What's going on here?" Some big, bald, tattooed fella's knocking on my door. Who is it? So he didn't even open the door properly. Sort of like just edged it open. He went, "Can I help you?" And I was like, "This is going to sound really weird, mate, but we've broke down up the road. Can I use? Can you ring us a taxi, or is there anywhere like a petrol station close that we can get to?" And he sort of gave me like a weird look as if to say, "Is he just some scammer or trying to get me out or something?" And he closed the door. He went inside, and he come back out, and he said, "I'll run you to the petrol station." So I ran back up the road to tell my coach, and he drove up this fella with a jerry can, and I got in the car with him. And then we got in the car, and he started telling me about how he like robs perfume and aftershave. This big fella, and he said he buys like it was just a weird journey. He was telling me that he buys dead posh aftershave off eBay. I've just met him, and then he basically writes a review back to eBay saying that it was damaged, so he gets it for free, and then sells it to his mates. And I was like, all right, okay. And then he was telling me like how he's got heart problems and he's probably going to die in 3 months. I was like, oh my god, I'm making my pro debut in like 2 hours. What's going on here? And then I was like, oh yeah. I was just like sat there agreeing with what he was saying. Got in there, filled the fuel up, and then he went, "So can I come watch your fight?" And I was like, "No," I said, "There's no fans, mate. Sorry, thanks, but it's behind closed doors because of COVID." And he was then going, "Yeah, I had COVID, and I'm surprised I'm still alive because of my health problems." And I was like, "This isn't good on fight day. This isn't good." So anyway, yeah, we got there eventually, and I think I was maybe on about 10th or something, and we got there, and I think 3 or 4 fights had already happened, and there was some first round finishes and stuff. So yeah, we got in. I ended up winning the fight. I think it was 2 minutes into the first round or something. Again, the opponent wasn't great. It was a pro debut, so I expected to win the fight, but it was nice to get it out of the way and win on the pro debut, and yeah, build on that now. So
Amazing.
just
Well,
a
that
weird
is,
story for fight day.
yeah, that has got to be. I tell you something. All the interviews I've done, and there's a lot of them now. That's going to be the best pro debut story of anyone. I'm not
I
just
won't
saying.
forget it. Yeah, I won't
No,
forget. I always say to my coach, we'll look back and like, remember when we were pro debut and I broke down and that weirdo was trying to tell me how he sold fake perfume or something. I was like, yeah,
I just never get old that story. That is, but still, it's something to remember it by. But it's
yeah,
going to be the coolest pro debut story that I've heard. So fair play. Well, hopefully the rest of the fights will be they'll be a little bit smoother with the transport, but hopefully they'll have some excitement as well with people you meet along the way. You never know, especially traveling. Because you're going to be traveling a
yeah,
lot. Because I've met some weird people on the road as well. So I
yeah.
can
I bet you have.
late to it, but oh, that's made my day. That is, and I'm sure it'll make the fans' day as well. But champ, it's brilliant because we've obviously touched on sort of the past and the future with this, which was sort of pretty much my aim. To look back at what you've done so far, which is obviously some good stuff, and to look forward at obviously the best is yet to come, definitely. But there's some big things out there. So the only other thing, really, before we wrap this up, that I don't want to really leave out is obviously the fans and the people that have supported you so far. Because obviously, when I do an interview, I like it to be for the people that know the person, so the people that know you, and for people maybe this is the first time they've heard of you, and the first time they've heard your story, and it is a brilliant story. So, what would you say to the people that do already support you, if any of them are watching this, any of your loyal people, been to your fights, or obviously went well, as easy said and done with all the COVID, but they've followed you on social media, sent you messages of encouragement and all that sort of stuff. What would be your message for your you know, a lot of people like that. You're solid people.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm very lucky. I've got a lot of good people around me that do support me. I mean, my missus has stuck by me from day one. She puts up with me, like going to training at night after doing shifts and going to the fights. And obviously, I'm going to South Africa for a week, so she's got to be here and make sure everything runs smoothly at home. And yeah, I've trained in a lot of good gym. Well, every gym I've been involved in since I started training have been good to me. I've got not one bad word to say about any of them. Everyone's done their part to help me from start until now. I'm very very happy with where I am in my training. So obviously the guys that tried at martial arts, I'd like to say a huge thank you to for helping me get ready for this fight, and then obviously going forward training with them. I love training in the gym, but previous gyms as well. They've all done their part in helping me. Um, Friends that have come to my fights, obviously pre-COVID, I had good support at every fight I had in the UK. Um, Even people that couldn't make it always showed appreciation by buying pay-per-views. I've been told that a lot of people are going to watch the stream for the FC, which is available, I think, through their website, if I remember rightly, for £9.99 on the day. So I've had a lot of people say they're going to watch that. It just means a lot to me that people are interested more than anything, and are helping me. I've got some great sponsors as well that have come on board for the fight. Working with Ricky Shock at Sponsor Right, who helps fighters and athletes get sponsors. So any other fighters or businesses out there, I would recommend getting in touch with Ricky via social media because he's doing good things for British MMA fighters. Obviously, trying to partner businesses with fighters to help each other. And then the other sponsors for the fight, Supology, CBD sponsor who help with the recovery. They're fantastic, providing me with recovery products, best products on the market I've used. Digizani have helped providing a financial sponsor to help me with my training for the fight as well. Valhalla Fightwear, clothing, they've sorted my fight shorts. Partner Designs have done me walkout gear for me. Um, Friends and family, yeah. I'm just a normal guy. Well, from I'm actually from the Western Isles in Scotland, which is a little island community right up as north as you can go. From a little community called Harris. The island I was born on had no more than 300 people, and now I'm training down in on the Wirral, flying to South Africa in 2 weeks, fighting for one of the biggest MMA promotions in the world. It's just something you don't hear of. Not where I'm from anyway. I moved here when I was 14. I'm 32 now, and I'm starting to achieve my dreams. So I'm just grateful for everyone that helps me do it. I'm just a normal guy that wants to succeed in something that I love doing.
yeah. But you know, that is a powerful, powerful message, actually, champ. I am going to say, and you know, it's a big part of what I love to do with these interviews, is as well as it's about all the fight stuff and all punching and kicking and this and that. The fact that it has that inspiration behind it is an amazing thing. And I just had that feeling about your story. And yeah, I'd heard you were from there, but you don't have the accent, like a strong accent, to be honest. So, you
It's
know,
disappeared, mate. Yeah, like
yeah,
I moved here when I was 14, so I picked up sort of a weird sort of Welsh Chester mild Scouse twang, I think. But yeah, I'm originally it's Western Isles, the right up the north of Scotland. So my dad's from there, my mum's from where I am now. So we moved here when we were 14. So that was a huge thing as well because in my year in school, this to put it into perspective, in high school, because I moved here in year 9. So in high school, in my whole year, there was 20 people in the whole year. So in primary school, I had 4 people in my year, and then I moved to a school in North Wales, and I had 300 people in my year. So it was just a huge change. But I'd like to. It's not something you'd ever imagine someone from sort of like a background like that being able to do. So I'm just trying to pursue a dream, and it's all I've wanted to do for sort of as long as I can remember, succeed in MMA, and that's just what I'm trying to do, really. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that is incredible. That is incredible. There's more to it than I thought. They're moving from there. That is mad because I remember like when I was in school, because I'm from South Wales. You know, it was like a massive. It was always a massive class. You know, so yeah, 4 people to that. That's something. But it shows anything's possible, old champ. That's the biggest thing it shows. You know, everything you've done from moving. You know, from the tiny place. And I've heard of it. I've not been around it, but I have heard of the name. You know, but
It's a beautiful part of the world. I mean, the beaches up there. I think I've seen something where 2 of the beaches up there are ranked in the top 10 in the world, but they just don't have the weather for it. Like, it's just so cold up there. It's just, I mean, when it gets cold down here, you think, oh, it's freezing, but go up there, mate. It's Baltic. But you have bad winters up there and that as well. But I've only been back once since I moved. There's it's more opportunity down here for us as we were growing up and stuff. So, yeah, it's. I look back on that and think that's where I've sort of started, and now this is where we are. We're going to fight in Johannesburg, South Africa, and then I've got next steps in my head where I want it to go and where it's going to go. So, yeah, I'm just trying to pursue it. My nan passed away in 2019. Was it 2019? Yeah. So I promised her that I was going to make something of it. So that's like, I always, when I'm preparing for my fight, I always remember that as well. So that's a big inspiration for me.
Yeah, well, you'll be making her proud already, and obviously with these fights coming up now, more so. And obviously, you know, sorry for your loss for that, champ. I will say, getting that,
That's
but
okay, man. Yeah.
you're using it as, you know, as a positive, as much as it can be used as positive is a good thing as well. But no, it's inspiration to people all over, champ. And I just want to say big thank you for your time. Before you go, I will say to our people watching, anyone that doesn't know, obviously Rob is on social media, so he's on Facebook, Rob Cunningham. He's on Instagram at Rob C MMA, I believe it is. So just
That's
Rob
it, mate. Yeah.
C and then MMA. So anybody who wants to check out what he's doing, you know, any of our viewers here, obviously for the upcoming fight, but for anything else he's doing, obviously give him a follow on there, and he's always posting some cool stuff and always accessible to answer questions and anything that the fans want to do, I'd imagine. So anyone that wants to know, that's where he is. And the last thing for me to do, champ, is just say, obviously, big thank you for coming on, mate. I appreciate you also taking the time out of your evening and, you know, sharing everything you've shared, and just thank you for everything, mate. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
I appreciate you having me on, Liam. Top man. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.